there, all you banter biscuits. And if you haven't already, can you do us a special little favor?
They haven't.
Okay, well, because you haven't, can you go and click like and subscribe wherever you're listening to and give us a 5-star review?
They can. They can do that.
Oh, okay.
Do you like how I'm answering for them? Talking for them?
Yeah. I think they like when you speak for them, Garrett.
So we've been friends for 9 years. Did you get my text?
I did get your text. It will be 9 years this April, I believe.
Facebook showed us all pictures at church.
Yeah. Oh. Oh.
And one of them at Cedar Point when we got ice chips thrown in our face.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember that? That's when I was waiting to see whether or not Shelby, my current wife, was going to date me back in the day. Yeah. She made me wait a week.
Here's my question. Are we, after all this time, are we fridge friends?
I won't answer anything until I know what that means. What?
Okay, so like, you have a friend that you go over to their house and you're just in their kitchen and you're just like, okay, I'm going to open their fridge and they're not even going to think about it. I'm just going to go eat something.
I'm too afraid because of Audrey.
Okay, let's say I'm at your house.
Oh, you definitely can come in and just look at our fridge.
Okay, so if I walked into your house and I was just like, "What's up, dude?" And then you shook
SWAT
off the
team
fact
would
that I was
get you
randomly there.
Yeah, the SWAT team would get you immediately. It's 3 a.m. Your just head pops up next to my bed. Hey, man.
And you're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Spaghetti."
I'm like, Garrett, it's 3 in the. Is there red sauce?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
9
so that
years,
answers
dude.
my question.
That's a big deal.
You could come over to my house, and if you open my fridge, I wouldn't be like, "How dare you?"
I would not be offended if you opened my fridge.
Yeah, right.
No, I would actually. I would know you would. I would definitely not getting food poisoning from that. Whatever you'd make in there, because I keep it very much up to date and stocked.
Yeah. Are we fart friends?
Do you hear all those people in the background, biscuits?
That is my office because I left on.
Garrett's office door is open and the audio is still on. Let's just have it in the background. I like it. It makes us feel like we're more live.
It's going to get taken out of the Jack Trip audio, so it's fine.
Okay.
So, speaking of friends, we just had a really great friend on our podcast.
Dude, how great is Mike Babet, man? Like, listening to what he had to say about, like, adoption, about his motocross hobby and accident that he had, his business, and how he just shreds on the guitar, dude. Like, I want to be a better person after listening to him.
Yeah, you guys need to, like, hold on to your seats and check where your butt is, because he takes us for a wild ride through his life. And it's only like an hour of. There was definitely not enough time. I wanted to ask more questions with every pressing question that came on. And then like, we have to get to the next stuff.
Yeah, we have to go. So please don't check out this episode, Banter Biscuits. Mike is a really super awesome guy. And if you're wondering about adoption or about how to grow a business, or just want to hear like awesome, fun stories that you would not find from any other podcast you're probably listening to, stick around, guys. This is a really good one.
Yeah. Without further ado, here's our interview with Mike Flippin' Babet.
It's Mike Babet.
Oh.
What up?
What up?
Oh, man.
How we
There
doing?
he is.
Look at this. We got like I've never seen the...
You got more fur down here than you do up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got nothing up there, so...
I got a little bit.
I like it. I like that little tuft.
Yeah.
Debbie took pictures of my top of my head last night while I was laying on her lap.
What?
Yep.
It's going on.
I've
And
got a
it's
couple
already a
of them.
good show.
Yeah. This is...
Yep.
So let's start with that.
Yeah.
Did she send you the pictures later, or was she like,
Yes.
you got to see this?
Yeah. I have a colic I didn't know.
Oh.
I mean, how often do you see the top of your own head, right?
I'm sorry. I thought he said colic.
Google
He said
Earth.
cowlick.
Colic.
I
thought he was trying to
cauliflower.
say, like, I have this thing inside me that cries for no reason.
Yeah, therapy will help with that. Yeah.
So how you doing, Mike? What's new?
I'm doing great.
Seth, did you know that we woke him up from his nap for
Yes.
this?
I got up 2:15.
Banter gravy, waking you up from naps after we put you to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, and the scary part is I got in my truck and I thought, well, I better listen to the Banter Gravy podcast. I've heard a few. And now, every time I get in the truck, it's on already.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My phone attaches and it starts playing.
That's real good.
So you're a 61.
Is now a good time to announce I'm leaving and Mike's replacing me?
Oh, yes. This is how you're going to do that to me. I see. Yeah, that's good. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you just backing away. Garrett takes off his headphones. Perfect.
So
can you turn you guys up in my ears a little bit?
I'll be right there.
Yeah, he'll take care of it.
I just wanted him to run upstairs and down real quick.
Yeah, exactly.
Get rid of some of that ADD emotion he's got. Well, in the 80s, we had hard rock. And so I'm already not able to hear.
Remember that time we had our first guest and I screwed up the audio?
Yeah, I do.
Uh-oh.
I'm a little out of breath.
Yes, I bet you are.
So, before
Garrett just ran up like 12 flights of stairs.
I think there's 14 steps.
Yeah, that was awesome.
14 down.
Garrett, your body can't take that much abuse anymore.
I'm really excited about having you on, Mike, because you've lived the life. Let's just say there's men and there are Muppets.
Which one are you, Garrett?
We are of the Muppet degree.
Okay, who's we?
You have had such a fascinating life, and somebody that I look up to and admire in so many different ways. So I thought it would be fun to just go through and start off the first We Miss Pastor Bob meeting. So let's call this meeting to order.
First live recording of We Miss Him meeting.
Yes, we do miss Pastor Bob. And Bob is Bob backwards.
Yeah. Next order of business is, hey, both of you left my team.
Yes.
Yeah, but Mike did it for a worthy cause.
Yeah.
It was a worthy cause.
I did it to get away from you, Garrett.
Yeah. So, how do you want to do this? Do you just want us to attack you with questions?
Sure.
Or do you want to just talk and we'll sit here?
I do have to do one thing, though. I do have to just try to whistle and see if it blows the microphone up or whatever.
Let's do it immediately.
Is that a blow up?
I heard nothing.
Really?
It's that pop pad you got there, Garrett.
Did you see the fear in my eyes, though?
It's Mike Babet whistleproof.
Yeah.
Nope.
What's going on? I have a gate.
You can't hear it?
I have a gate on the microphone.
Yeah, I got nothing. That's awesome.
I love it.
That's incredible.
Okay. Wow.
So you can whistle while you work.
Yeah.
Whistle while we work.
I love the whistle.
So
let's just say, okay, we're just gonna tell you, we're just gonna say a word. And I just want you to talk about it.
Okay.
Ready?
Ready.
Yep.
Apple.
Depression. Wait.
Oh. How many cigars did you have to smoke to get your voice like that?
Well, there's a funny story of the cigar.
Okay.
So
I want to hear it.
One of the only things of my addictions that I quit on my own was smoking. So I quit smoking cigarettes about 30 years ago.
Man.
So
nice.
When I'd go on vacation, or if I would kill a deer, I would have a victory cigar.
Oh.
So I would buy a tin of mini Macanudos, and I would smoke. Well, I'm on vacation. We're in, not Daytona. We are in Florida at Myrtle Beach. No, the one that got destroyed, Fort Myers. Fort Myers Beach. And I slip in. Yeah, it got destroyed like 2 years ago. I'd slide into the cigar factory. I buy a tin of mini Macanudos. I come out, and I light up a mini Macanudo.
Did you see him slide in your mind?
I just pictured him in a cigar factory.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm with my mom, my wife, and my son, who is probably 8. So I come out, I light the cigar, and my mom says, I thought you quit smoking.
Uh-oh.
I said, well, yeah, this is a victory cigar. I'm on vacation. She said, well, then you didn't quit smoking. I said, Mom.
Nailed.
Yeah, no, I indwell in the Holy Spirit at this point in my life, so I do have some shame, remorse, and guilt within me.
We don't know anything about that.
I'm trying to think of the last time I felt shame. Yeah.
And so I said, well, Mom, you got me. And so my son looks at me and says, Dad, if you never smoke a cigar again, I'll never smoke.
Oh man.
Wow.
Is that Jack?
Was that
by
Jack?
the way?
Yep,
Yeah.
that was Jack. And I'm like, in the garbage.
That's
Never
awesome.
smoked again. Never had another cigar.
That's so cool of him. He's a really cool guy, by the way.
Yep.
Jack's
And he does
awesome.
not smoke.
Nobody's going to believe this, but he was sitting right there in that chair.
Jack did?
24 hours ago. Yeah.
Really?
He said he came and saw you.
Yeah.
He has twins, right? How old are they now?
They are 5 going on 6.
Oh my gosh.
And a
Time
3-year-old
flies. Good.
who is a tomboy.
Okay.
And she's full of energy.
Yeah. So you have the one kid, but then you also, this is a point of interest for me anyway, you've also adopted kids.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah,
Yep.
tell us about, because we have listeners who have kids, don't have kids, want to have kids, can't have kids.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell us more about the adoption process, man.
Yeah.
Well, I got to give my wife all the credit. We tried everything. We tried, in vitro. We tried everything that you can do. We tried, and then we started fostering. Mm-hmm. So we had a couple kids over as foster children. Our neighbor had a gaggle of kids, probably 6 that were through the foster.
Okay, pause.
Is that what they call a group of children?
That's what I'm
Yes.
trying to figure out right
It's
now.
not a school anymore.
Okay,
Gaggle.
it's not a litter.
Okay,
We're a
continue.
gaggle. So we kind of talked to her, knew a little bit about it. But my wife, who at that time was the spiritual giant of the house, had been online and been looking at children. And we could not get a child that was younger than Jack, that was a single child, that didn't have like 2 or 3 other siblings.
Okay.
So there's
she
like a
started-
research process to this where you
Oh
have
yeah,
to
and
find
the
them.
worst part about it, the part that makes it human and not spiritual, is that you actually start checking boxes of what you will accept as a child, which is the hardest thing in the world.
For sure.
I mean, they don't have left-handed in there, but everything else is in there.
Okay.
Interesting. Hmm.
Yeah, and their physical features, where they came from, what their parents were like, and so there's some really. You want to just say you'll accept anything, right? But a lot of kids that we looked at had major problems with drug addiction from their parents. Were born addicted to drugs, and so you really need to think, what am I capable of handling?
I think that's really important thing you just said, because a lot of times people just jump in feet first and they realize later on, we're not equipped for this.
Yeah, and my wife, God bless her soul, she was led by the Lord, and I was looking at all the details. I see things black and white, and she sees things just for what they are in the human kind of perspective. So she started looking internationally. And she was led to a few websites, and she saw this young boy named Kai, who was 3.5.
I was wondering if you were going to say their names or not, but yeah, Kai.
Yeah,
Let me
yeah.
just tell you, one of the smartest people, young people I've met. He sits there, and you can just see him scanning the room, and you just know the wheels are turning in multiple facets.
I knew
Just
him
really
as a
smart.
little boy.
Yeah.
I knew Kai when he was a very, very little boy up
Yeah.
until about 5 years ago.
And he was 3.5, and we didn't adopt him until he was 5. So there was like a 1.5 year process. So my wife documented everything. We sent over pictures of his bedroom, pictures of mom and dad, pictures of his aunt and uncle, his grandparents, acclimated him through pictures, because we couldn't talk to him. We couldn't video chat.
Oh, interesting.
But through letters, so when he met us, he knew who we were. He knew what we'd be wearing. He knew his brother Jack, what Jack would be wearing, because everything that we brought was what she had in those
Yeah.
pictures.
And for everybody else, where was he when you
He
found
was
him?
in Guangzhou, China.
Okay.
So Guangzhou is very close to Beijing. That was during the Beijing Olympics. So there was a ton going on in the city. And he was in such a remote area that they drove him to a facility in the city, and that's where we met him.
Wow.
So the facility he was in was actually an old folks home. And,
really?
His day consisted of, as a 3.5-year-old, watching soap operas with 80-year-old people that are in an old folks home.
To learn English or to just pass the
to
time?
just because there weren't adopted children there a lot. It was a combination of children and old folks in this home because it was so rural. I'm guessing they didn't have separate facilities.
I assume the soap operas were in Chinese, right?
Oh yeah, he would say Dobadai, Dobadai, and he would literally kiss my wife's arm up her arm like the Munsters. Carita used to do to Mr. Munster and kiss up. Yeah, like that.
Or the Addams Family.
The Addams Family.
The Addams Family. Yeah.
And he got that from a soap opera. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, really
Charmer
crazy.
right from the start, man.
Yeah.
Wow, he's a great kid, and let me preface the next one, if I can. Lily.
Lily.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the first time I ever saw Lily. All right, or one of them. First time I ever knew who she was. So this was at a church picnic, right?
Yeah.
And she's maybe this tall.
Yep.
I don't know. She definitely is short in stature.
Yeah.
And I just remember
but
seeing
mighty
her.
in personality, my friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember seeing her out on the volleyball court at the church picnic.
Yep.
And she's in the very back, and she's got the ball, and I'm like, oh, what is she going to do with that? And then she just goes, oh, wow! And it just goes soaring.
Yeah.
It's like, did that break the sound barrier?
I was like,
It went through the cushy out here in front of the microphone.
she inhabits big things come in small packages. That's Lily.
Yeah. Lily was the point guard on the basketball team. She was the libero on the volleyball team. She's just she's going to be the next president if they ever allow someone to not be president
I'll vote
that
for her.
wasn't born naturally here in the U.S. So that's what I always say.
Wow.
Governor.
So Lily was the same age, and then we had to wait another year and a half.
So she was second.
She was second. Kai went with us to China, and so did Jack. We all went again. And she was from a little further south region. And I'll never forget the day we got her. We walked into, she was from the big city, so they had a full-blown orphanage with probably 80 beds in one room.
Oh, wow.
And there was 20 beds in a row, and there was one bed that was not made, and that was her bed.
Oh.
And so as we kind of toured the facility before we met her, and we met her in a small room, like a waiting room at the office, and she knew us. We had a cake prepared for her. She actually had a caretaker that she knew. She called her Quell Mama. I don't know what that means. But
Okay. I don't either.
yeah.
Clickety clack.
Yeah.
And you could tell, because she was so small, that she had to fight for everything she got, because she was very outgoing from the start. I really think having the kids there was an icebreaker, and really, helped Debbie and I to bond immediately. Because when we were with Kai, there was probably 10 sets of parents there and 10 children.
For sure.
That all met at one time.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you half of them did not go to the new parents, and there was a struggle there.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So is that because of the choice of the Chinese government, or because of the parents? They change their minds, or
No, I don't think that that instant where you meet your parents, I think it's because they didn't do the preparation like Debbie had done, sending the pictures.
oh, so the kids
Saying
chose.
this-
Gotcha. Okay.
So the kids get chosen out of the adoption center, but then if you don't send anything their way, they don't have any idea what you look like.
Right.
So you might meet your child for the first time. They may have only seen one picture of you, and who knows what they're telling them before you get there. I don't know if they're saying, "Oh, tomorrow, your parents are coming," or they have to be saying something. But my wife had a book. She had a album that she would send, and she sent all kinds of stuff: a blanket,
Queen Two.
toys,
Yeah.
just a toothbrush,
Just a copy of Hemispheres
Yeah.
yeah.
and an entire turntable.
Yeah. So I say that to say that my wife did it right, and she did an entire blog. I think that's it, a blog or a website or something of the entire journey from beginning to end. And every time I watch it, it brings me to tears, because it's so cool the way. she just was like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how she did it.
So how was the dynamic of your family getting together when you were all under the same roof? What was that like?
Yeah. So, first it was Jack, and it was all guys, and everything was dirt bikes and hunting. And then Kai came, and Kai was more of a lover, not a sports guy so much. And so that changed the dynamic big time. And Kai actually, he had a huge adjustment to the food over here. So he farted a lot. I mean, a lot.
Dairy.
We had a family dinner last night, and we were just talking about it. We called it motorcycle butt, because he would fart, and it sounded like a motorcycle.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kai. I'm sorry, but we're airing it.
And he knows,
And and publish.
Yeah. And so, but and that's a true thing. I mean, you go through a complete change of diet,
Yeah.
and those are things you don't think about.
Was he like, excuse me, or was he like,
No, he'd be like,
yeah,
getsy gooly.
I feel bad, and this isn't a knock against maybe your wife's cooking, because I'm sure you guys are great, but like American food in general just isn't as good for you, I'm sure, as Chinese.
Yeah. His body was probably just like, what is this?
Why?
and we
You're
eat
free
it
now.
differently. The whole culture thing, everything's different.
Yeah.
But so there was that dynamic that Kai was new. Now Jack was older; he was in high school. Kai was immediately came to church, immediately got baptized. He started going to Christian community school. So he was like fit right in. I mean, there were no problems. Not that I hate to say this, but we've not experienced any issues really.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
ever. They're 21 and 18 at this point, our adopted children, and they're just great children. Every time that I think about that, it chokes me up, because you hear all these, stories of concern, and they prepare you for all this stuff. And boy, we had never had to utilize any of those tactics that they told us about.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So what?
Then Lily comes.
Okay. Yep.
Oh, now he's a girl. Now Jack's gone, right? He gets married right after
and
college.
Debbie was like, thank the Lord in heaven.
Yeah.
Finally.
Now it's like there's two women and me and Kai. And we're like, Kai doesn't ride.
Now
Kai
the
doesn't
farting is
hunt.
more awkward.
No.
There's no farting now. Now it's
Yeah.
me farting, and they're all yelling at me.
Yeah.
Stop farting. Why are you
It's amazing
farting?
how the
And
tables turn there, Mike.
it's not good to suppress bodily functions.
No, especially anger.
Yeah. So, and now the dynamic is completely different. I will say Lily, because she was such an athlete, and Kai really gained his sea legs, so to speak, played soccer, was a starter, waited his turn to play on the basketball team, and wasn't the best, but got, good minutes in, and he was just growing and growing and growing. And he's like 6'1" now. Jack's 5'9". He's like, what happened here?
Yeah.
I love that. I love
Surpassed
that.
by the younger.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's good.
Right. Yeah, and he's got more facial hair than Jack.
Me and Jordan are the same way.
Yeah, just always constantly surpassing each other. Yeah.
So, okay, if someone were adopting in the process of adopting, what two pieces of advice would you give to them, Mike, for those who are interested or maybe even in the process?
So growing up as a chiseled, hardened, hardworking man.
Chiseled, for sure.
Chiseled. Yeah. You can do it. I didn't think that I was going to be able to love as much as I do love. I didn't think that I was going to be able to accept as much as I accept. And I didn't think that I was going to be able to just put it all together, and God empowered us. My wife said to me, God said to me, he said, who are you to deny your wife this opportunity?
Yeah.
And that was when we were thinking about our first adoption. And now, I think if he was to speak to me again about it, he would say, I told you so.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't an opportunity for her.
I love it when he says that.
It
I
was
told
an
you so.
opportunity for me.
Yeah. He said that about the Baconator I just ate a few days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do it. You can
Awesome.
do it. It's so fulfilling.
Okay. So first thing is you can do it. What would the second thing be?
Cost a lot of money.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Cost
Financially,
a lot of money.
prep.
I was feeling great about it
Yeah.
until that point.
The first adoption we did, we actually had it wasn't a GoFundMe. I don't think they did that at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But our company, Forever Green, was so supportive, and some of the customers who I had that were longtime customers jumped on and supported us financially. And I got an opportunity when Kai graduated from high school to call them and say, thank you. This is what your donation did 15 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm almost
so
in tears
cool.
now
Yeah.
because these weren't Christians,
Yeah.
Yeah,
These
of
were
course.
just people that, that love to be able to help, that were financially able, and they came alongside. And so I say it's expensive because you know what, there's value in what you pay for. And we traveled to China, and then we had to do all the international things, and there was a lot. That was the majority of the expense, but the satisfaction of knowing that people came alongside, that we weren't in this alone, and then that God blessed it, and has blessed us ever since.
And I think also that I think it should cost a lot. I don't know, maybe people disagree with me, but I feel like if you're gonna put yourself out there and say, I'd like to support a child, give them a better life, you should be able to demonstrate that, right? I mean, you shouldn't. I'm nothing against people who lack finances or anything, but
right?
Like, I feel like it should be that.
And when you look on the flip side, if you look at somebody, had we taken in a child as a foster child, the adoption process in America actually gives you money for that. You not only do you get a tax write-off, but then you actually get a stipend to pay for food and some of the housing and whatnot. And that's not an adopted child, that's a foster care child. So you look at the two ends of the spectrum. An international adoption, you really pay a lot for, but then and at home you get paid, so to speak, to do that. So you got to be fully committed to go, to another country and adopt a child, and they did have a process. You had to stay there for a couple weeks,
right?
Because there is that chance that you don't bond with the child, or maybe. And there was one child who had some serious medical issues, and they don't tell you what the medical issues are. And the lady felt like she couldn't take care of her child, and we prayed with her. She was ready to give the child back and leave, and we prayed with her, and and it was sad, and for the child, for the parent, she ended up taking the child. But I'm sure it was a struggle.
Yeah, for sure.
There were she had some major medical issues that were not revealed, and you're already there.
Yeah.
So what do you do?
Too late. Yeah.
But those, those are all the things. I mean, it was such a blessed trip. I mean, God had His hands all over that trip, and I got to thank my wife for that.
Yeah, I've heard stories too, like the Thompsons, another family that adopts from here. There's actually a lot at our church.
Korea, right? They have two from Korea.
They had to go and stay there for weeks. And I remember there was issues with everybody in their family because there's 600 of them.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
That they had to be there, and there was major schedule conflicts, but they were like, nope, we this is just how it is. You have to do this. So it means a lot. And I'm sure it means a lot to both your adopted children too, that, I mean, now they're in a totally different life, totally different trajectory, and they have you and the Lord to thank for it. So
and many people have said, "Oh, you're a stand-up guy for doing that." Well, no, I'm not. The Lord gave us a gift. My children are stand-up children for loving us back.
Right.
I look at
not
it a little
required,
differently.
right? Yeah.
No, it's not.
No, they could leave when they're 18 and go their own way
Yeah.
and do whatever they want, But they say, well, if you raise a child up with the Lord, you will not depart from it. And, they're going to both become members next week.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
So,
thanks for sharing that part of your life with us. That's great.
Yep.
All right, so Mike, you recently broke yourself in half.
I like the way you said that, because that's exactly what I was thinking when I saw the hospital picture.
Yes. So you're really into riding your motorcycle very high, but
we mean in the air.
Yeah. Yes, up in the sky.
Yeah.
But what exactly got you into motocross? I know you're a big motocross guy. You travel from time to time.
And I do want to discuss the injury too, because you can't just say he broke himself in half and then we don't talk about it. So let's talk about how you got into it, and then let's talk about how it got into you.
That was my way of getting him out of having to talk about it. But go ahead.
So actually, my dad bought a 1966 Honda 50 Dream, which is a really old motorcycle designed to just kind of go on the street. And my brother and I, of course, took it in the woods.
Yeah,
started jumping
naturally.
And broke it in half.
What else would you do?
Yeah.
And so that was the start of it. I do have a picture of me with my dog under my shirt, his head popping out on the Honda 60 Dream in the driveway in 4th grade, 5th grade. And so from there, I got a paper out and I bought a YZ80 from a friend of mine, Doug Klimkowski. and bought this bike, and I loved it. We used to go down Old Stony, we called it, racing up and down.
Is that a mountain or a street?
No, it's an old road.
Oh, okay.
Just a straightaway.
How did you not get that, Garrett?
Old
It's
Stony.
a road.
Yeah, Old Stony, and we had Hell's Hills, and we had the landings, had old grape vineyards that we used to, make jumps out of.
Where was this locationally?
Avon Lake, Ohio.
Okay,
course,
so right
yeah.
by the lake. Yeah,
You
this
grew
all
up here,
sounds
didn't you,
great.
Mike?
Yeah,
Yeah, I grew up in
Okay,
Avon
all right.
Lake.
That's cool.
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, lived there till I got married.
Yeah.
And moved to North Ridgeville. But yeah, so the
Sorry
first.
you moved there. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I love North Ridgeville. I got sober in North Ridgeville.
He
Come
almost
on.
became mayor in North Ridgeville.
Yeah.
I'm throwing
Not
that
mayor,
in real quick.
councilman.
Oh, councilman. Scary,
Councilman.
you
Oh,
kept
sorry.
telling me it was mayor.
No,
In
no,
my
no, no,
mind,
no.
it's the same
That's
thing.
why I greenlit this interview.
I got 4,000 votes. 4,000 votes.
What? That's awesome.
4,000 votes.
That's so cool.
Unfortunately, my opponent got 6,000.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's
somehow
2,000 away.
Somehow in my mind, they're the exact same position.
They are. They're. But I have a much better position today. So, but anyway, back to the dirt bike. So yeah, I bought my first full-blown dirt bike in 1989. It was a Honda 89 CR250. And I used to just ride a lot in the trails, in the woods. And
What happened to the dream?
He broke it
Well,
in half, right?
Oh.
dream broke in half.
Yeah.
It's in Uncle Randy's farm right now.
Tell you
Oh.
has ADHD. Keep going.
When I found out it was there, I hey, Uncle Randy, can I go see it? He's like, where? It's right back there in the farm pile. And it was gone. There was nothing left. I was going to redo it if there was anything
You just see
left.
a rabbit hopping off with a cog in its mouth.
Yeah, they call it a carcass. It was a complete carcass.
They kept it nice for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before the rabbits came in.
Not Babet, not to be confused with Babet.
Yeah, not Mike not Mike Rabbit.
Yeah. And actually, I knew Debbie when I had that 89 CR250.
Oh, that's cool.
My wife. So we were not married at the time.
What is it like to have a wife who will let you ride a motorcycle?
Well,
I don't
she
know what
used to
that's
go
like.
to the races all the time with me.
That's cool.
Up until Jack was about 5 or 6, she went to all the races. And then it got to be really extreme. We traveled to Florida, New York,
Man.
Texas, Missouri, Albany, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, all over. So, yeah, and then she was like, I'm not going.
Yeah.
And that's when she started thinking about adopting.
Hey, there it is.
Just kidding.
Oh, okay.
I thought we were like we
Just
did the
kidding.
stories
Just kidding.
backwards.
Yeah, dang it. Yeah.
Yeah. But Jack ended up so when it was just me, it was just me. But then Jack got old enough to ride, and so then I had to get 2 bikes, and then
Right.
Jack was riding 2 motorcycles himself, a mini and a big one, and I was riding. And I always felt like, well, if he's gonna ride, I'm gonna ride. So I never really stopped riding. And then as I went from the 35 class to the 40 class to the 45 to the
What
50,
is that?
Yeah, help me out
age
with that.
classes.
Yeah, we're lame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're age classes.
Oh, okay.
So
I feel stupid.
yeah, so you start out as an A, B, or C. A is a pro, which is you ride for money. B is an intermediate, which is what I am, and then C is a beginner.
Which you don't
And
ride
some-
for money.
I just picture training wheels, a basket, and a little bell.
Yeah.
I never rode for money. I'm not that good. However, my son was really good.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean, he was really good, and not only did he do soccer and basketball and baseball, but he did motocross. So we were super busy, and we went everywhere. And then we kind of found a niche. We got involved. I love tinkering with the bikes, and I love the 2-strokes. And they outlawed 2-strokes and started racing all 4-stroke.
That's a type of motor. Go
Yeah,
on.
that's,
Thank
so
you.
Yep. Instead of it's
Yeah.
That's totally going to make it in, I think. I know we didn't
Totally
hear it, but
different.
that's totally going to make it in.
It will because he's on a separate recording apparatus. So yeah, it will.
yeah. So and that really gave us an opportunity to race the old bikes. And so then we started getting into the old bikes, the 80s bikes, which is kind of what I grew up on, and I could do all the work myself on the bike. They weren't real expensive. And I'll say one of the best parts about doing all that was that it occurred on Sunday, so you can't be at church, right? Well, how do you bring God into that, right? So we started praying and having a ministry at the track.
Oh.
And so not only would there be the Christian motorcycle group there at some of the races, which we could listen to their devotional, but they would need somebody to pray over the loudspeaker to start the races and stuff. And many times I got a chance to do that. We would go to the pro races and then ride the amateur day the next day on that track. And they had a minister at the pro races, and I made sure that Jack and I got to attend the riders meeting where they did a devotional for the pros.
Yeah.
So
a devotional is typically it's led by somebody. They share a scripture and usually like explain what it means and then pray. Yeah. So that's what a devotional is.
And so, you're in your boots and you got all your gear and you're really on a quick timeline because, 7:30's practice, 8 o'clock's racing, you got different motos at different times during the day, and you got to eat, and you got to make sure your bike's running, and you got to, sometimes you have a flat tire, or you got to adjust your carburetor, or he's racing, maybe back to back with me, and I've got to get him off the line. He's got to get me off the line. So there's a lot going on, and how do you fit God into that, And that was important to me to continue, teaching my child and having to make this a spiritual thing and not just about dirt bikes.
Yeah.
I think God, it wasn't Catholic Mass. It's like, and now we will be reading from chapter 4 of the hymnal 187. Yes. And he's walking around with like this chalice full of wine, and you guys are drinking wine before your motocross. He's like, something about this doesn't seem safe.
Definitely not.
In the background, you just see a pope just going,
Yep. They're doing the smoke and the thing, and it's just getting in the way of everybody driving.
It just crashes into the ground, and then they're just like, a spiritu santo. Yeah. So what happened with your recent accident? I didn't ask you about it because it was such a like you were in it and then you were out of it, and then I was like, I'm not going to have him relive it. So
I would like you to.
So I'm in the 55 class now.
Okay.
And I've kind of slowed down a little bit. I'll be in the 60 class this year.
Don't say that.
So I do the big vet races now. Redbud, Daytona has an amateur day. They're bigger tracks. There's lots of people. So I don't race every weekend, but I handpick 5 or 6 places that I'll go and race. And we do a practice track locally on Thursday nights. So that's called Apple Cabin. I'm at Apple Cabin, and they let all 3 A, B, and C riders out at the same time. So you have pros out there, and there's not a ton of them, but there's
they let them out at the same time.
At the same time on the track,
like a cow gate. Like
right. Normally it's separated. You get C riders with C riders.
It seems
B with
unfair.
B.
I'm just stuck with Apple Cabin. I feel like you need that, Garrett.
Yeah.
Apple Cabin. Cabin.
That's where we started with an apple.
Yeah.
I just pictured you inside a cabin with a barrel of apples, and then you're like, Garrett, this is horrible. And then it's a shot out the door, and then mine is just made of apples, and I'm like, this is great.
What type of computers do they use in there? Microsoft.
And the guy that owns it, his name is Apple Frank. So
what?
Go figure.
Okay, no, detour. Need to know.
He got into it because
I need to know about that.
Apple Frank.
Apple Frank.
He named it after himself.
They have an apple orchard.
Okay.
So anyway, so I'm riding. I'm doing my thing. Thursday night, I'm on my new KTM 2-stroke. I'm turning right, and I'm going, and I hear this guy coming behind me really fast. And I'm I look to my right, and I'm like, he's not making it through between me and the edge of the track.
It's funny how he didn't know that.
Yeah. What?
But you did.
Was he an A, B?
He was an A.
Oh, so you were all ready to go.
Really fast. And you know what? He's a bigger guy.
Yeah.
Huge beard, big hair. Oh. Anyway, he's on my left side, and I don't know it. So I kind of steer to the left a little bit.
Yeah.
Bam. We collide.
Oh, my gosh.
Into your back?
Nope. He grabbed my handlebar with his handlebar.
Okay.
And drugged me. And I kind of went sideways and into his rear tire.
Jeez Louise, dude.
At about 30 miles an hour. So he sucked me into his rear tire.
Wait, like between the ground and the tire?
Between the fender and the tire.
Oh.
Yeah. So the tire's spinning this way, and
so
the
you got
wedged up here. So shot me in.
No, I'm sorry I asked about this.
That's why it broke all 13 of my ribs, only on the left side, front and back.
So did it stop spinning? Like, were you like
I have
wedged?
No idea. I realized when I was being drugged, I'm like, this can't be good. And
you don't say.
Hold on, wait.
That was the thought that happened. Yeah.
This can't be good.
This probably isn't good.
Yeah. And then I was facing the opposite direction. I'm like, this can't be good.
No.
Yeah.
I was looking back where I was
this
coming
can't be
from.
good.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So did you pass out?
No. He actually, the big hair was sticking out of his helmet, and he looked down at me, and he was upside down. I'm laying on the ground going, because my lung had collapsed.
Inside the butt. Really? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
lung collapse.
For sure, if
couldn't
your ribs
breathe.
break.
I'm laying on the ground on my right side, facing the other way. He looks at me and his helmet to my helmet. He's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like,
What?
What? Are you okay?
I'm sorry.
I couldn't talk.
Are you all right in your
Yeah.
brain?
Are you okay?
Because
And I'm
look
like,
at me.
Oh
And my friend
God.
John, who was behind me,
Are you
he
all
was
right?
about 30 seconds behind me. He rolled up and he's like, "Babet, are you all right?" And I'm like,
Oh no.
so
Because
finally
you
I
couldn't talk, right? Because
could not talk.
Because your
My
lung
was
is
collapsed.
yeah.
Because the
wow.
lung is in the
I
ribs.
kind
and
of
such.
got out. Give me a minute. At some point,
Did
and
you
then I
feel
went to-
something was really wrong? Like
I couldn't really move.
Mm-hmm.
I went to roll to my back, and I'm like, I just knew something was really, really wrong.
Yeah.
So I said, "You better call an ambulance." So
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
they wanted to know, do we need to call an ambulance?
yeah.
I don't even know how long I was down, but I think it took the ambulance about 40 minutes to get there.
No.
Gosh.
That
dude.
is agonizing.
No.
Horrible.
Wow. Okay.
So and then they had to, of course, lay me on my back, which was really bad.
And this is what, Daytona?
No. This is right here in
This is
Medina,
around
Ohio.
here. Oh, you were
Thursday
close
night
by.
practice night. Thursday night practice night.
So you had to go play guitar that night?
I did. Bob said more is less, and I said less is more, and I was on stage, baby. Boom.
We here at church, we like to have flashbacks
Yeah.
of 2004.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a much better
2011,
time.
buddy.
Yeah. No, I went to the hospital. They lanced me, which then got
Why?
the blood out of my lung.
Because they had to legit like drain him. They had to
Yeah.
drain
I'm sorry,
him.
I pictured like a
tube in
medieval
there.
hospital, and they're
Yeah.
like, "We got to put this guy down."
Yeah.
I thought
Well,
the guy's
best part
name
of
was
that,
Lance.
it starts to get good after this because my wife showed up the next day with this.
She didn't bother to see you that day. She was
She
like,
did,
"I'll
but
go
I'm
see
kind
him
of jumping
tomorrow."
forward to go back. She showed up with a astronaut pillow that I could hold on my side, and so when I went to move, I could hold that. And I'm like, "Why an astronaut, honey?" And she's like, "Don't you remember in the hospital?" And I'm like, "No." She's like, "Well, when they gave you the fentanyl to give you the chest tube, you said you were on a spaceship and you were seeing astronauts." And I'm like, "Really?"
I am putting in this episode description, and Mike talks about his adventure in space.
So
Yeah.
my wife,
Mike's
so
adventures in outer
smart,
space.
knows how to break the ice and got me this astronaut. And to this day, I have that astronaut on the couch.
Wow.
I thought you were going to pause say, yeah, and then Debbie brought in an astronaut.
Yeah.
It was crazy. dude.
I thought he was going to
mean-
say, "Your love is out of this world,"
And so are your ribs.
and then she just closes the door.
Yeah, she sat there for,
So were your
well, I
ribs.
was 4 days in ICU.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
You
was
made a
falling
quick
every day that
recovery.
day. Yeah.
I have to say, actually, I do remember this. Like being you were walking at church one day, and I was like, "Oh, he's better." Like I thought you were
Yeah.
going to be down for way longer.
Yeah. Well,
So how long ago was that?
that was the day after my anniversary, September the 5th,
Of
Okay.
23 or 24?
24.
Okay, so that was real recent then.
And now you're back on the horse.
Yeah, so to get back to the dirt bikes, so I had a trip planned to to Mexico to ride the toughest course in the world called the Baja 1000 on November 4th.
They call it that based on what Taco Bell does to your intestines.
I was going to say, I'm
Yes.
like, it's the baby course is chalupa.
And I had lots of tacos. But I made it. I made it to the trip. I
That's
had
cool.
pre-planned it a year in advance with my son. It was a father-son trip with 2 kids from college I went to college with, and I made the trip 8 weeks later.
That's
See,
so cool.
like-
you went back and
Yeah.
rode again.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
rode
don't think I
again.
could have, dude.
Yeah.
Like I know when like I haven't only big injury I've ever had, I was running and I completely turned my ankle all the way around.
You also crashed on a bike.
We talked about that episodes ago.
Yeah.
That was
yeah,
more
yeah.
damaging to your pride than your actual body.
It was, but I don't think I could ever do an activity like that so soon after I got that severe of an injury. So like kudos to you, man. Like
Yeah. You know what? And I went down the first day. I had bought a bigger chest protector because I had a chest
Sure.
protector on, but where he got me was right where the chest protector wasn't.
Of course.
So I did a full wraparound, and the first day, going about 45 miles an hour. I went down right on that side.
Oh, man.
And I didn't hurt anything.
Okay.
Except my shoulder.
And pride, yeah.
I tore my shoulder.
Oh, you tore your shoulder.
Yeah.
So there's a part 2.
Yeah, okay. To be continued.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
you know
when I
what?
tore my shoulder.
Yeah.
And it was it was an awesome trip. I got to experience it with my son. He hadn't ridden in 2 years. He was flying. He's going 100 miles an hour for 5 miles on a beach in Mexico.
Wow.
Just flying with the videotape, the GoPro and everything. And I wasn't going that fast. I was just 60, 65.
Yeah.
But he had a great time. I was glad I was able to experience that with him.
That's cool.
And with my friends from college. It was a great time.
Right on. Right
Really
on.
good.
Amazon. Wait, what's he doing? Is he scanning it? Are you seeing what I'm seeing right now? What's he doing?
Yes.
I just pictured you being like, it's all right. I'll just ignore him. And then
Okay,
I'm like, isn't he your friend? And then your window just shatters, and then the package just comes through the shattered glass.
Yeah. Did he just take the package? Did he just walk away with it? Is that the wrong one? Is that my package?
Maybe it's a signature required.
He didn't even ring the doorbell. Where's he going?
Go get him.
Oh, wrong house. Look.
Oh.
Dang it.
You need to go out there real quick and grab it back and be like, hey, you know what? Finders keepers.
Okay, all right, side story real quick.
All right.
Okay,
Yes.
and you can put this in if you want. I was home, obviously as a teacher, I was home because snow days, holiday, whatever we make up nowadays. And a dude rings my doorbell and I see him and I look at the camera, I'm like, probably not important. As he's walking away, I'm like, wait, maybe he's the guy with my package that I'm missing. And I run outside. I'm like, hey. And he's like, oh, whoa. He comes back. He's like, so have you heard about adding solar panels onto your roof? I'm like, son of a gun.
Yeah.
I was stuck for 10 minutes, dude. I was
You're
stuck.
mine now.
You haven't learned the art of being a complete jerk. When you learn that, you will
because
be
in
much
all of
better
his
off.
all of his like graph and data charts were laminated.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, I'm not interested in this thing.
Yeah.
So he's like, wait, so you're gonna do this even
Not
though you
harsh
haven't heard the
enough.
rest of
Yeah.
it? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
The last one I had was a water softener guy, and he comes in because it was supposed to be some kind of like government program or whatever, and then you find out in the first 5 seconds it's not. And I just remember like shoving him out the door as his face is like, but wait, you haven't even heard that. And I'm just like, shh, 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 shh.
Have you guys
Slows the door.
do you guys have water softener at your homes?
No, it's too expensive.
We do actually.
Oh, nice.
When we bought the house, it had a water softener thing in it.
That's cool.
And it started blinking. And I'm like,
Uh-oh.
huh?
House destructing.
Yeah. I'm like,
Oh.
what? So I got to refill the salt.
All right, Mike. I am really, really excited about this segment here because you've done something that I've only ever dreamed of and have since
Make
pretty much
money.
let go. Yeah,
Make money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have, not only are you somebody who's adopted somebody, you are a world class guitar shredder.
Oh.
You are an
We'll talk about
entrepreneur
that.
as
Yeah.
well, and you have built and continued a successful company. That to me is really, really amazing because I mean, everybody who started a company, like I don't know what the percentage is, but usually businesses don't survive, right? It's like something like a third.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you can speak to that a little bit more, but I thought it was like a third of all new businesses just die.
Don't
Do you
go
remember
5 years.
Do you remember Java Mat, Mike?
Java Mat?
Yeah, neither do we.
We're too afraid to try.
Wait a minute. It sounds cool.
Yeah, it's coffee
And-
while you do yoga. Me and Garrett have had that in our heads forever.
And that's what I'm proud of.
Yeah.
The fact that it sounds
it.
cool is about all I'm willing to wager. Anyway, so tell us about your actual company. You started a company, right?
I did.
That's
Right
so
off
cool.
1992.
Okay.
So I worked at ChemLawn.
What's that?
As ChemLawn is the largest lawn care company in America.
Oh,
They're in all 50 states.
Makes sense that they would be called that.
it feels so
Yeah,
stupid.
they're called
again.
ChemLawn. They had huge tankers. They were the best in the industry. Really started the industry in the 50s. Two guys, kind of like McDonald's. They were a staple when it's like when McDonald's started. But
Both companies sell chemicals.
yeah, except they apply them. Yeah, and I went there, and they had a system. I worked in their system. It was great. I loved it. I came from being an applicator. While I went to college, I was an applicator at a small company here in North Ridgeville. And I went to work with suit and tie, company car, selling. I had never done it before, but I just did really well. And then they got bought by the second largest company in America.
Wendy's.
Burger King. My man, he would think the same thing.
Yeah, Burger King, McDonald's. You're right.
Yeah.
I mean, where there's one, there's the other, right?
Yeah.
That's how this was. But they were completely different.
Yeah.
Hemlon was customer service oriented, was driven by the applicator. True Green was driven by sales, and they could care less about the quality. They just wanted as many customers as they could get.
Kind of like
So
us.
I went to work for them, and they were the mortal enemy. We didn't, but I didn't know that till
That probably felt weird.
it did.
Yeah.
And they did this funny thing. They wanted me to pee in this little cup when I started, and I was like, "Oh, okay, no problem." And they fired me because I was a bad boy.
Yeah.
Back in the early 90s, ladies and gentlemen, now it's
Yeah.
2025.
Yeah.
Mike is a
Don't
reformed
do
man.
drugs.
So then
Yeah.
you were inspired, I'm guessing, to start your own thing.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
so
Forever
cool.
Green, True Green, Forever Green Lawn, Chem Lawn. So yeah, I'd written a small business plan in college, and I pulled it out. And the first thing I did is I went to my biggest customer, because they had let me go, fired me, which meant I didn't have a no compete. So I went to my biggest customer.
Oh,
and
that's real good.
and
That's
wounded
real
them.
smart.
Well, I just had, this is God doing for me what I can't do for myself. I mean, I'm not that smart, right? And went to this guy, Jerry, and he owned a company, great company, had been around for 20 years already. He was a teacher and then did the business on the side.
Hey, teachers, go ahead.
Yeah, great teacher. And he said, you can do all my fertilizing. And I also got some customers of my own, just, people that I knew and whatnot that didn't want to be with True Green. And grew the business so big that he's like, I'm done. You got to buy this thing from me or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he set me up. Within 2 years, he set me up. I bought a van from him. I took my 401k that I had pulled out of True Green and dumped it bought a house, the house I live in now, got married, and bought that van in 1992.
Man.
And I had no money. I had no furniture. I had nothing. And my wife and I built the business from there.
That's awesome.
Our goal was, the goal of the small business plan was a 10-year plan to go from nothing to $1 million in revenue.
Okay.
And I was
Nice.
2 years short of reaching that goal, but I did reach that goal within 10 years.
Yeah. So what was the point in time that you knew you were like, okay, this is gonna work. Like, this is a success. Like, what was the point in time that you
We're
tipped
talking
over?
about your marriage.
Yeah. The marriage back then was really easy. I worked hard and I played hard. Rode dirt bikes, played guitar, did a lot of drinking. Didn't have any involvement with God at that point in my life. But in 1999, when I got sober,
Congratulations.
yeah, nice. So I'm going 25 years sober. Drank too much, did too many things, had a child, and straightened my life around. And at that point, I didn't really think the business was, just kind of doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't really think ahead. I didn't have long-term goals.
Just
I didn't
making
really-
a living, basically.
Just doing, I had no children until all of a sudden, boom, we didn't plan to have children. Jack just happened. And it was the best thing that ever happened for me. My wife is an adult. I'm a child in an adult's body.
We can relate here at Banter Gravy.
That's exactly what we
Yeah.
So I started getting really serious, Actually grew the company to 50 employees in 2006.
Oh my gosh.
We did $5 million in revenue.
Oh my gosh.
We were huge.
Man.
We
So
had,
what was it like hiring your first employee that you were like, it's not
well,
just me?
well, initially, I hired people like me that played hard, that worked hard.
Did you have a partner or was it like,
Nope.
nope, you're going to work for
No,
me?
it was just me. I hired everybody, and I worked myself, for a long time. I had to completely retool myself. I hired a business coach when we got to $1 million in revenue. Hired
That's
a
smart.
business coach for 3 years.
Right.
He taught me how to be there's a lot of books that talk about good to great. They talk about, being a technician and then becoming a foreman or a manager. To make that move doesn't just happen. And my education was more of a technical education. It wasn't management or business ownership. It was doing the work. So I had to retool, relearn everything. I was blessed that I had a human resources coach who was a Christian, and she kept me on the straight and narrow. She did all my key hires. I had a spiritual advisor who also helped me with my books. His name was Jim Sheridan, great guy.
So I'm hearing there's a lot of other input that you had other than your own ingenuity, and which is, one thing, but to have other people speak into it, you've got to.
I think a sign of good leadership and a sign of great vision is constantly surrounding yourself with people who are better than you.
Amen.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
So there were also two businesses that kind of paralleled what I did and were about the same size that I grew along with. One was Christian Community School. They had about 180 students. I was the president of the board. We were doing systems there, and we were doing handbooks, and we were doing hiring and retirement plans and how to work days and how to manage the building.
Interesting.
Which I became a part of. And they were, about $1.5 million in revenue. And they were about the same size as I ended up being in 2008 after the economic crash. And so there were so many parallels there. I literally took the volunteer stuff that we used to do at the school and said, why can't we do this at the church? We could, after service, we could have tables where people could come up and volunteer for this or that.
Oh, wow.
And then at work, I said, okay, well, I'm paying people, but you're going to be in charge of the bathrooms for this month, and you're going to be in charge of the shop for this month, and you're going to be in charge of the grounds for this month, and then we're going to rotate. And so many things. Like there was like a common thread there, and the biggest common thread was God. I became a faith-based company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I started drug testing. I started hiring people with 4 points or less on their license. So I started upping the quality of the employee. And when you go to a Christian school, those are fairly reputable people you're dealing with, right? When you go to a church, those are reputable people. So everything in my life the bar was raising around me.
So then why are you here?
Cool. Yeah,
I'm lucky.
Lead us to today, your lowest point.
Why are you on this podcast?
I'm lucky. Well, you know what? And I'll tell you what. I was there for your interview, Pastor Garrett, and
why?
I mean, I was.
Why did you allow this?
You're awesome, dude.
Thank you.
I love, submitting to your leadership with the music because you know what you're doing.
It was cool. It was really cool joining up, especially when I found out that you were Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah, well.
This is a great segue. I'm so glad you said that. So, Mike, what on earth is going on with the guitar shredding? I mean, you have a successful business, successful marriage, successful dad, successful rip healing, but all of a
sudden
you
might as well play faster than everybody, too.
I can thank Dolores King for me playing guitar.
This guy, I swear.
Yeah. Here's the craziest thing, too, about Mike. He plays left-handed. So he also has, not only is it like shredding, like, you see this kind of thing. It's not, he can play without tapping, which is how you go easily. He actually can play with the standard pick shredding, but he does it way.
It's really funny too, because I more remember you imitating the sound of a guitar than you actually playing, because we would play a lot together.
Stuck in your brain,
and I always remember Mike being like, all right, here we go. Like that, and I'm like,
I remember being like, okay, this was so cool. Finally, left-handed player. I can see what it looks like in a mirror to play with another person.
Exactly.
And then he just goes like
too quick,
60 times faster than I can. I'm like, well, there goes that dream.
Yeah,
you play pretty good. So
yeah. So my only question on that is, how did you learn to play so fast?
I think because I'm left-handed and I pick with the left hand. It took a lot of. I practiced a ton.
Yeah. Okay.
So I played trumpet till I was 18.
I feel like he just did a meme to us where it was like, "How did you get so good?" And he's like, "It's this really weird random thing called practice every day."
But so when I turned 18, I couldn't play trumpet anymore.
Okay.
They wanted me to play in this Elvis band in Vegas, and I was the first year trumpet. I was really good. I could read music, write music, music theory. I had like perfect pitch. I could hear a note and do it. And then I picked up the guitar. I broke a tooth and I couldn't play the trumpet, and so I started picking up the guitar.
Can you just go through 1 decade without breaking something?
No, I can't. I'm a numbnuts. So I'm at Glenn Trivett's house. I'm with my buddy Timmy. He's playing guitar, and there's another guitar there, and I pick it up. It's upside down. I'm playing it lefty. It's a righty, and he's teaching him Over the Hills and Far Away. And I'm over his shoulder, and just like you said, Garrett, it was a mirror image, and I'm like, and he's like, you got that, Mike? And I'm like, Timmy couldn't play it, but I could play it upside down.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's like, what are we doing here? And he's like, you need to get a guitar, dude. So I bought a Flying V Court, flipped it upside down, and started playing. And I practiced day and night and day. That song, day and night, day.
Yeah. You just
The
plugged.
daytime.
Yeah, and I just practiced a ton. I played in Guitar Wars 3 times down at the Flats.
That's episode 10 of Star Wars.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say, I'm like, I don't think I've seen that one.
Guitar Wars.
I
shooting each other.
I demand right now that we also insert a audio bite of Mike shredding.
Okay,
I'm just saying,
we can
it
do
needs
that.
to happen.
Did
See,
that's what I'm going to overdub it with. Mike, were you on for that year that we were talking about this the other day? Were you on that year we did Africa?
Yeah.
I was playing that too.
Yeah.
So we were all in that band that year. I was wondering.
So I was bass. Gary, you were rhythm guitar. Mike was obviously lead.
Yeah.
This little square down here that's empty needs to be Eliza.
I was about to say that, dude. Like, Eliza. Okay.
Rain down in Africa.
Here's a really cool thing about Eliza, real quick. And I just want to give her flowers. Like, I always thought she wanted to kill me.
Yeah.
But like on social media,
she's a little terrifying.
on social media, like we've become really, really, really good friends. Like I'll say something and she'll comment with an even more tongue-in-cheek comment, and I'll be like, exactly.
Yeah. But yeah, so you're pretty amazing on the guitar. It's pretty cool. Do you have any plans to like get better, or are you kind of just writing
I feel
out
like
your
Bernie Kosar with diminishing skills.
Okay, gotcha.
But I play at home. Actually, I just saw a Johnson 150 for sale on Facebook, and I'm like, ooh, I should buy that. I had the Johnson amp. For me, so trumpet, I play only by music. I can't play anything other than a scale without music. But guitar, I love to play with no music. Play something and I play to it. And when I start thinking about playing, then I don't act natural, so to speak, with my playing, because I'm thinking. And so I just love being at home and playing Jesus Culture and just noodling on B, and I don't know. I really love. I'd love to play with the band here and there. It's kind of hard, The prayer ministry is, I'm not the leader anymore, so that's been 5 years that I was the leader there. And I'm not the leader anymore, so I stepped down from that. I'm still in it, but I'm not, but I appreciate every opportunity I get to play, and I love playing with you, Garrett. You're a great leader. You're doing it right. I love the vibe and the number of people that are up there and everything that's happening. I will say it's hard with the in-ears and it's if you're not doing it all the time, it becomes kind of a challenge.
Well, thank you for the kind words.
And I've had the opportunity to play with a ton of good people. There was Mike and Justin, before you came, and I remember when they would throw me a nugget of a lead, and I'd be like, "Oh man, I get to play a lead."
Yeah,
I was like, yes.
Yeah.
And then I was like lead for a long time, and then you had all those Oswald and Kilby and all these people start coming through, and I'm like, man, I gotta let these young people play, because I've been up here for 8, 9, 10 years.
We're gonna play Rush soon for Father's Day. I have this thing in my brain because Derek won't join us and play. He's the only other person who could be Neil Peart.
I have an ear story about Mike. Uh-oh. So we were on the platform, we were practicing, and I don't know who was leading. Could have been my brother Jordan back when he used to, or it could have been Bob or whoever. But all of a sudden I hear, I just can't get it out of my ear. And then I look, and he's panicking a little. Mike's like, take a look inside. Look inside. And we shot a flashlight, and the little piece was stuck in his ear. And he's like, do I need to go to the hospital? Like, what do we need to do about this? And I'm just like, I don't know. I've never seen this before. Like, so he had the whole in-ear rubber part stuck in his ear.
Yeah. You just look over and Jordan Niemitz is like suctioning his head with a plunger.
Like, wait, I can get to that. Hang on a minute.
Yeah.
So did you have to tweeze it out?
How did you? What you did?
He got it. I don't know how he got it.
Oh, okay.
I think he.
I would have just left it and been like, well, I guess it's part of me now.
Yeah. Can you play Cliffs of Dover?
Okay,
you can sing
I played it. I actually play it on I played it on the way to Knob Creek, Kentucky, for a machine gun shoot in an RV in the back seat.
No way.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
The life this man has lived.
Yeah. There's a lead guitarist at my current church named Josh, and I'm like, play Cliffs of Dover. He's like, I can't. I'm like, then you will never be Mike Babet.
It's actually not that hard. You guys do all your own fills?
What do you mean?
Like the drum stuff and the guitar.
Garrett did them all.
I did.
Nice. I figured.
Yeah, I
still
created,
think your best. I think your best instrument is the drums. I mean,
it's definitely my favorite for sure. I created a very intentional, ingenious system of interludes that were immediately rejected.
I was about to say, I'm about to get smashed, aren't I?
It was have you heard our outro?
I don't think I have.
Our musical outro
at the end of each episode. Yeah, oh man, that was a little controversial for a day or two.
That's what I think is.
Really?
That's exactly what I thought was happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I created this really jazzy, really, really tight song, and it was like, I don't know, how would you describe it? It's like jazz / funk /
yeah, that's exactly what it is. I'd say that.
Boone,
I'd say,
I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I worked really hard on it for a couple days, and I sent it so proudly. And I was like, "This is so cool. This is what I feel like. I imagine when I think of gravy being poured on mashed potatoes."
Yes.
And I forgot to write what our podcast was. So Seth is like, "I adore you. This doesn't sound like us at all."
Yeah.
And then I hang up the phone, and I'm like, he's right.
So we have the intro that we do, and then we have at the end, once we finish up, there's a song that plays at the end. The song we play at the end is called Gravy. That's what he wrote. The song we play at the beginning is Banter.
Yeah.
So together it makes Banter Gravy, but I did not like the last song as the opening, and I hurt Garrett.
I couldn't. No, it didn't hurt. He was right, but I was like, gosh dang it! Why didn't I think harder about this?
Stupid.
So the first couple episodes, 1 through 9, 1 through 8, are my Gibson.
That's the guitar transitions, and then we switch to the drums. And I think, it sounded
Jack wants to hear your acoustic. He's like, oh, what does acoustic sound like?
It was a little too South Parky.
Yeah, Jack wants to hear it.
So we changed it to drums as the interludes between each segment. So.
Yeah, so there's the answer to that question for everybody.
All right, so I want to close this, and I want to ask...
In prayer.
We promised we wouldn't do that. I want to close this, Mike, and I want to ask you just one question, okay?
Yes.
And it's something, you're our very first guest, so this is something I just want to do with all the guests.
Serious?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think
we're going alphabetical, right?
You are, you're the only one who has agreed to this.
Yes.
Oh boy.
And what I want to set the tradition now, but I hear a podcast that always asks this question, and I want us to do this with our guests too. So, Mike, I want you to tell us, what are 3 things you are grateful for, real quick. What are 3 things in your life you are grateful for?
My sobriety.
Okay.
Number 1. The fact that I have the Holy Spirit and I feel like a spiritual person, and my wife.
Okay.
She's awesome.
Man.
Wow, that's cool. Hard to beat
great,
those.
Dude. Yeah. All right, Banter Biscuits, if you guys have any topic suggestions for the podcast, please feel free to email us at bantergravy@gmail.com. And if you haven't already, click the like and subscribe button wherever you're listening at and give us a 5-star review.
Thank you, Mike, so much for joining us. This was really, really cool.
All right, man.
And it also makes me want to give up.
No, don't give up.
Because
You're young.
now we have to follow this.
No.
Next week.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.